A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Spectrum, coming to you live on Radio 1 FM 90. Radio 1 is also broadcasting live on its website, which is www.radio1fm90.com. On that website, there's an icon with the word Listen Live. You click on that icon and you'll be able to listen to this radio station as long as you have an internet connection from anywhere across this globe. Now, this radio station is also live on the different radio listening apps, which include TuneIn, Afro Mobile, UTV Channel, Radio Garden, and Stream Afrique. Those can be obtained from the Google Store of your smartphone. You download, look for Radio 1 FM 90, and you'll be able to listen to us. There's also another option that is via your TV set. If you have a DSTV connection, you look for audio channel 897. My name is Kenneth Lukwago Anderson, and today we'll be asking a question: why should Uganda shun chemical-based practices in the agriculture sector? Now, Uganda is among countries that are struggling with challenges of yields as far as agriculture is concerned, and the use of agro-based chemicals and fertilizers, according to experts, is not helping a lot. Now, use of agro-based chemicals and fertilizers is also becoming a threat as far as agribusiness is concerned, because international market standards are completely against them. Now, given this situation, there are efforts from within government and the private sector, including NGOs, to promote what is called agro-ecology, with its proponents saying it's good for safety and business. Now, agriculture is a key pillar in poverty eradication and wealth creation initiatives, including the parish development model and the agro-based industrialization agenda. Now, given this fact, Uganda, being an economy dominated by agriculture, is critical for farmers and those dealing in produce and inputs to understand the challenge at hand and what can be done. So tonight, I have people involved in this ongoing campaign to share their thoughts about this matter, taking into account the challenges that we are already facing in the sector, including poor soil fertility in some areas, pests and diseases, lack of adequate rainfall for production, among other issues. Let me introduce my guests. Joining us on the line, Mr. Sunday Bob George, Senior Agriculture Officer, Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, who is also the National Focal Point Person for Organic Agriculture and Agro-ecology. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for joining us on the line.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much for joining us. Joining us here in the studio, let me introduce Ms. Susan Nasolo, founder Evergrow Organics, who are producers of organic agriculture inputs. Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Also in studio, Mr. Paul Mugisha, founder Agape Innovations, a tech-based agroecology youth-led initiative. Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for hosting me, Mr. Kenneth.
I see you generally here in studio. You're all young people, and one would say, why are you interested in agriculture? This is an area that most young people tend not to, get involved in. What brought you in to actually start doing work around agriculture? Mugisha.
Thank you, Mr. Kenneth. Agriculture is an untapped potential in this country. You find that 60% of our land is arable. That means 60% of our land can be able to support food. Unlike countries like Kenya, where 20% of their land is arable. Yet you find Uganda is importing food from Kenya, which is having an arable land by 40%. So that shows you that there is a lot of untapped potential in agriculture. And as a youth, that is an area we need to look into, given our high unemployment rate, and the challenges we have as a country. There is an untapped potential in agriculture, and that's why I had to join.
All right, I'll be getting back to you to understand your input, what exactly you're doing in the agriculture sector. Let's hear from you, Susan. Why are you there in the agriculture sector?
Okay, I'm there because actual agriculture is environmental concern. So I'm there to solve what is now disturbing us, we farmers, that we are having a challenge of synthetic fertilizer, which leads to soil infertility. So that's why I'm there, so that we fight against with that challenge we are facing.
All right. All right. Good evening, Mr. Sunday. If you're still with us on the line, we'll begin with you on this issue of organic agriculture. The lady and the gentleman here in studio are involved in a campaign where they are promoting agro-ecology, which is also a part of your efforts as a ministry. Generally speaking, let's begin by understanding, when we talk about agroecology, what are we looking at?
Thank you so much, moderator. My name is Sunday Bob George. I work with the Ministry of Agriculture. I'm a senior agriculture officer for food security and a focal person for organic agriculture and agroecology. Thank you, listeners. You say what the scope of agroecology. I'll just speak it in a layman's understanding. It's important to note that there is a clear demarcation between organic agriculture and agroecology. Organic agriculture is a farming system that uses zero synthetic input, completely zero. Zero synthetic fertilizers, zero synthetic chemicals. That one is not enough, but also it embraces other processes like certification. Meaning, it's not enough when you say you are not using organic fertilizers. You are using organic fertilizers and you are not using also, for example, if you say you are using organic fertilizers and you are using organic pesticide, that one is enough, does not define you as an organic farmer. You need to go ahead and certify. Even if you are not using those synthetic, you cannot access an organic price until you certify. We call such farmers organic by default, and there are very many in the country. So agroecology comes in to provide a way out. It's like a transition now. These farmers are transitioning to organic agriculture. They are not using synthetic. They are not using any external inputs, but they are not certified. Such farmers fit better this side of agroecology. But if they are to be defined as the organic farmers, they need to be purely certified with the recommended certification agencies, in-country certification bodies, and those which are outside the country, depending on the market segment a particular farm is looking at. So when you look at agroecology, in simple terms, it is a production system. It's a production system that embraces nature. Yes, you grow food, but also you are mindful of the environment. You are mindful of the entire components of the ecosystem, both the underground and the below ground. Okay? And you make sure that the 13 principles of agroecology are translated in your farming practices. There are some farmers who claim to be agroecological farmers, but when you go on the ground, you find these 13 principles are not translated on the field. I'm speaking as a person who also sits on one of the national certification bodies called UGOSAT. So when we are trying to do quality checks, we always see these gaps. But if you are an agroecology farmer, or if we are to define agroecology, we are looking at a farming system that promotes nature-friendly agronomic practices. You may take it as that. Maybe I can give you an example of embracing a model we call enterprise integration, the coexistence aspect. You are having 5 enterprises on your farm. How do they coexist? How do they benefit from each other? Naturally, in a natural setup. In a natural setup without any interruption. How do they coexist? How do they benefit each other? That kind of food system, that food web kind of system interaction, that one is part of agroecology. Currently in the country, there are very many agroecological farmers. Some of them even don't know that they are agroecological farmers. In an event, that you are practicing mulching, you are practicing crop rotation, you are practicing conservation agriculture, you are practicing regenerative agriculture, you are purely an agroecological farmer. However, in agroecology, we are not so much strict on issues of synthetics. There is no much restriction than like it is in organic. In organic, we shall tell you zero usage of synthetics. But in agroecology, when the situation calls for, when it really calls for, a farmer can use these synthetics in a well-managed way, in a recommended way. If the situation calls for using it. Okay?
All right.
So the other organic, zero usage. Agroecology, normally we look at these nature farming practices I've given you. Agroforestry, crop mulching, fanya chinis, those ones who are growing in the highly landscapes like kabale, water harvesting, things like climate smart agriculture, the ones you're seeing. Some people are using regenerative agriculture. That is a part of agroecology. In a nutshell, organic agriculture is a very small subset under agroecology. Agroecology is the biggest subset. Actually, it is an improvement of what we call sustainable agriculture. Only that some people say they are practicing sustainable agriculture, but you find that they are actually not even being guided by any principle. Sustainable agriculture may not have specific principles that guide it.
All right.
That's why now we are like, let's promote agroecology, paying keen attention and translating these 13 principles of agroecology into the production system.
All right. We'll be coming back to you, Mr. Sande. Please do stay on the line. Let me come to Mugisha now. Agroecology, in your view as somebody who has been working around it, basically, first of all, if you can tell us what you do, but also tell us why we should favor agroecology over any other practice in agriculture.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kenneth. I am a founder of Agape Innovations Limited, and our prime product is Agape Organic Fertilizer, a 100% organic fertilizer made from organic waste using black soldier flies. Why should we favor agroecology as compared to any other kind of farming? Agroecology, as Senior Inspector Sande has said, it is a type of farming in tandem with nature. God created nature so it can support itself. And agroecology is pushing for that. Most of the problems that we are having in farming today is because we are deviating from the way nature has been set. You find the chemicals that we are using are disrupting nature. You find that if you have a garden which used to give good yield, for example, with maize, you find as you keep on pumping these synthetics, which we call artificial, you find that the land is no longer producing enough because you are diverting away from the natural way of doing things, what we are calling agroecology. So agroecology is coming back to nature, trying to offset the problems that has been caused by deviating from nature and also preventing the future problems that may occur because we are continuously going away from the way things are supposed to be done.
All right. You talk about the future problems that we're likely to face. What are some of those future problems, the things that you think are likely to happen if we do not stick to the way of nature in terms of farming?
Thank you very much. One of the biggest challenges that we are having today is in line with the soil. Whatever we are using, all the chemicals that we are using, both pesticides, both fertilizers, as long as they are synthetic, they are having a direct impact on the soil. That is why you find that when you are applying fertilizer, they tell you wear a protective gear. When you are applying a pesticide, they say cover your mouth, because this is poison you're giving to to the environment. Now imagine those living organisms which are unable to cover themselves. What is happening to them? They are dying. And these living organisms, they have a very important role in the soil. They always ensure that the soil is boosted. The soil is in its natural state. The soil is having the natural process continue. So when you kill them, these processes are tampered with. We no longer have soil structure, soil formation, because the organisms which are responsible for that are being killed. The result of that is soil acidity in most cases, where you find that nutrients are in the soil, but the plants are unable to get them because the soil is acidic. Then eventually you'll find that the soil is unable to support the crop growth, plant growth. Why? Because the nutrients, even though they are available, the microorganisms which would have made them available, the plants, are not there, and crops can't grow in that area. So you find we are going into periods of unproductive soils, which is going to go into hunger and food insecurity because of what we are doing right now.
All right, let's hear from you, Susan, your experience. You from Mityana, and you work around with farmers, but you also produce organic agriculture inputs. Let's hear your experience. As a person who is trying to solve this particular problem, what have you seen? Are farmers willing to change the practices, the way they are doing agriculture? When we move around the country, you see so many shops selling agrochemicals, and many farmers taking advantage of those to spray grass, to spray pests, and also to deal with the diseases that are coming up. What's your experience? What would you tell farmers in that particular regard?
All right, thank you, Mr. Kenneth. For me, what I can say that the experience there in Mityana, actually people, they like organic farming, but they are still lacking the practices or the training. So we need to expand on how we can train them to know the effectiveness of the organic farming, and also to know what is there on what they are using so far now. Because so far now they are using those synthetic fertilizers. Some they are not on agroecology, but some they are on agroecology, but they don't know why, and they don't know what they are going to get from it, and they don't know the good in agroecology. They are there because of the problems that they are lacking some money to buy those fertilizers, So what they need, training about agroecology.
You produce organic fertilizers and inputs. Give us an example. How do you do it? And as a young person who is involved in this particular area, are there any particular challenges that you're facing, maybe that the government needs to attend to? Okay.
Producing organic fertilizer made out from food waste. We collect food from streets, schools, hotels. So we made the fertilizer from that. So far we have EM Super, which is a mineral-based organic fertilizer, and it's inside in it there is microorganisms which adds the nutrients in the soil, which fights with those synthetic fertilizers. So our challenge so far we are having about certification, because so far now we are doing business to customer, but we want to do business to business, because if we do business to business, we shall be fighting a big solution, or we shall be working on a big solution for those synthetic fertilizers, because now so far people there in Mityana, they like our product, but they are not able to put in their agro shops. So what I can request to come up with those certification, because actually I started the process, but I failed now.
You failed? Why did you fail? What's the problem?
The problem is all about the materials they requested me, because they requested me a lot of machineries and also some testings. So, and also to be with the laboratory, but I'm still a startup, so I can't afford a laboratory. Maybe when I'm having someone who can support me with that.
All right. And you, Mr. Mugisha, earlier on before we came to the studio, there are a number of issues we were reflecting on, and you also talked about how agroecology is very important when it comes to food security. What's the link there, food security? So many people would want to hear, because we all need food. We all eat food every day. What are some of the things that people need to look out for, and why do you think agroecology is important in that particular area?
Thank you very much. Food security is basically the inability to have enough food. And that is usually curbed as eating mass, but there's also what we call hidden hunger. You're eating the food, but you don't have the nutrients in there. So you find that if someone takes away the ability for you to produce food, technically you're unable to become food secure. And the conventional type of farming that we are doing is slowly but surely taking us to a stage where we are unable to produce our own food. There are some areas in Uganda as I talk now, and I'm sure some of the listeners can testify to this, that if you do not use a fertilizer in that soil, you cannot produce productive. Your crops cannot grow very well. Meaning that you are, in one sense or another, a prisoner. Food insecure, actually, that's the right word. Food insecure until someone with fertilizer comes and gives you the fertilizer. So you find that imagine if we have the whole country like that we have used so much of these synthetics, we have messed up our soil so much that we cannot produce food without using these synthetics. We are becoming a food insecure country, because with our high poverty rate and whatever is going on, not everyone affords a fertilizer.
And in terms of safety, the kind of things people are eating.
Yeah, that is quite important, because statistics came out, I think, last week, showing that Uganda has spent most of their income on healthcare. So you find that you can't eat meat because you have to buy medicine for your child who's sick. And partly what is making people sick is the food that you're eating. In computer language, they call it garbage in, garbage out. So now here we are eating chemicals in, we are putting chemicals in, and we are releasing diseases out. What do? We go and spend our hard-earned money to buy the food, to buy medicine. So you find that you are insecure, you're poor, because all the money you're making, all your humble salary, 50% or more is used to is used for healthcare.
All right.
Yeah.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. We need to go for a break now. When we return, we'll bring in Mr. Bob Sunday to understand the policy of government, what government is doing to help people involved in innovations like these young people who are here in the studio. How can they be supported? How can those involved in agroecology be supported by the government to actually scale up? Because reading from some other information, we are seeing that markets abroad, international markets, are more in favor of agroecology products compared to this other conventional way we are doing farming. And that is very crucial for agribusiness. Now, stay tuned, Radio 1 FM 90. Keep your comments coming via WhatsApp line, which is 0703 090 090. Now, thank you so much for staying with us on Spectrum, live on Radio 1 FM 90. We are focusing on why Uganda must shun chemical-based agricultural practices and embrace organic agriculture. My guest this evening, Mr. Sunday Bob George, Senior Agriculture Officer, Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, is also the national focal point person for organic agriculture and agroecology. Ms. Susan Nasolo, founder Evergrow Organics, producers of organic agriculture inputs, and Mr. Paul Mugisha, founder Agape Innovations, a tech-based agroecology youth-led initiative. Now let's go back on the line to Mr. Sunday George, and I hope he's still there. Mr. George Sunday, you've heard from the young people here in studio who are trying to help you as a ministry to deal with the issues of agroecology. They are involved in the production of organic inputs, but they have several challenges. Now, is there any policy from the government side to promote this kind of initiatives, but also to bring on board many farmers as possible? Like I indicated before we went for the break, it's becoming a requirement on the international market to actually provide organic products which fetch much more And that will be very important for agribusiness in our country.
Thank you so much, moderator. You are not helping us, but you are partnering with us. Let me make a small correction before I proceed. When we talk about food security, I just want to supplement to what my colleague said. We are looking at a situation whereby all people at all times have a physical and economic access to food. Meaning, even if you don't have where you cultivate, you can be food secure. That's why you see countries that don't have land, they are food secure, and even they are giving us donations. So food security is not only having land. Once you have good money, you have good purchasing power, you have income costs, you can be food secure. So it is a physical access and economical access at all times. Physical access, this is now the actual production in the garden. Economic access is cash. So even if you don't have any piece of money, as long as you have cash, you can be food secure. So that's why you see when you're talking about food security, you look at it in so many dimensions. The physical availability is the food available in the garden, in the market, in the supermarket. Is the food available? Then we also look at the food you access. If it is available, and people access it. Accessing it, that is now where you need money to buy. Okay? Then the issues of utilization. How are you using that food? Is it making any health benefit in your body? Is it nourishing your body? Is the food safe? That's where now issues of food safety comes in. Because food will never be food unless it is safe. Then suitability or sustainability. If food is available, is it going to be available up to next year? Is it also going to serve the next generation? That's why now issues of agriculture are coming in. Because the current production systems are a little bit unsustainable. When we embrace the nature production, we are embracing issues of availability and sustainability. We are providing food for a generation and the next generation to have. That's when now these innovations are coming in. The land we have is a fixed factor. It's not increasing, but we are producing food every day. Even right now, there are mothers pushing babies in the maternity ward. Where are these people going to stay? Land is not increasing. This kind of pressure that is going to be created on land, fragmentation and all that. What do we do? The land is fixed. That's why we need to think matter and come up with a new innovation. We are not saying that by promoting organic agriculture and agroecology, we are banning this production system of synthetics. No. But we are providing options. We know the truth is food, there's a lot of adulteration in the entire value chain. There are a lot of misuse of chemicals. That's why we come out and tell people, yes, we are not stopping synthetics because we cannot feed this population, which is now 45 million, on organic production. Technically, it's not possible. So we are saying, as that production system is there, we have organic for self-food, for environmental conservation, for soil health. We have agroecology here for biodiversity conservation, proper ecosystem functioning. We are providing options and supporting the actors alongside that direction. As government, in the line of organic, we have the Organic Agriculture Policy of 2019 that we disseminated in the whole region and it is operational. Other than that, we are halfway good developing the National Agro-ecology strategy just to guide these two colleagues of mine who are in the studio and very many other actors out there to provide this enabling environment. They promote agroecology protected by the policy and also guided by the policy. I want to agree with the comments Magic made. The issue of capacity gap. We are looking at a situation whereby we need to recruit our extension workers. We went to Makerere and studied those Bachelor of Agriculture, Masters, blah, blah, blah. But when you come in the field, you find that there is not what you're going to do all of it out at the university. There's a lot of capacity building needed. These agricultural officers we have, we need to recruit them, equip them with knowledge, with materials, what agroecology is, how can we integrate, how can it do farming systems for exist. These are very simple forms. For example, if I can ask you, moderator, I know you don't get the chance of saying you are great brand man. But those people are not using chemicals. Why are they not eating? You go in a very interactive forest. I can give you an example of I don't know. Whichever interactive forest you know, you find the tomatoes are growing there very well. They are not sprayed. The fruits are very healthy. But let man approach the forest and start cutting. The tomatoes will be infected by diseases, meaning that kind of ecological balance has been hampered with. Okay? So that's why we are saying, let us work on the policy direction, provide the enabling environment, and even guide the actors. Because even these actors themselves, they also need to be guided in terms of what is physical and what is not physical. We are at a stage whereby we want also to collect the data on the cost-benefit analysis. We need the statistics to prove to people that, yes, agroecology is cost-effective in this way. This is the unit cost of production. If you cultivate 1 acre agroecological and the other one goes synthetic, what are the yields per output, per unit output? What are you getting? How much are you putting in? What are the risks? We need all these statistics. We are at a stage where we are going to convene all these work with them, generate good statistics to say that we have talking figures to convince the decision makers.
All right.
And so to guide people who want to join the agroecology kind of innovation.
All right.
Otherwise, in the policy direction, that is what government has done.
All right.
Other than that, we are also coordinating our body to see that these innovations we are doing are brought on in the memory of the government.
All right. Maybe let me ask them what kind of support would they be looking for from government? Let me begin with you, Mugisha. What kind of support would you be looking for from government? Here is the focal person, the one who is in charge of the area where you operate. What kind of support? What kind of interventions would you be looking for as young people to continue doing what you're doing?
Thank you very much, Mr. Kenneth. 3 things I would like to kindly request. Number one, official acknowledgement that we are there. They are the young people who are not practicing organic farming or agroecology, but rather trying to produce things, trying to produce inputs, trying to produce materials that farmers in organic agriculture are using. If I can briefly shed light more on that,
please.
You realize that when you go to the Ministry of Agriculture to register a product, you realize that the whole framework was set up for a big player. The budget around there falls within $5,000, $6,000 US to register a product. Yeah, something that a young person in Uganda who is trying to develop something for organic agriculture may not be able to get. Yeah. So if they can acknowledge that we are there, young people trying to put a brick to what we are to organic farming, and then design something around the policy level to see that we are also catered for when it comes to registering, when it comes to being acknowledged. It may be that the conditions are eased a little bit, you're not asked to go to this kind of lab to do all these kind of things, that will be helpful.
All right.
Number two, it will be helpful if we are given support, because there are different organizations which are supporting organic entrepreneurs. If the government can come in strongly and support them as well, to support us more, identify us more, in these things that we are in, it can also be quite helpful.
All right, let's hear from Susan. Susan, what kind of support would you be looking for from government so that Mr. Sunday can pick some of these issues and probably communicate them to the powers that be for easy intervention?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kenneth. For me, we want the support I can need. We need trainings and some workshop, those which can also support our farmers to know more about agroecology, because we believe that if they know more about agroecology, they will now follow us as we in the entrepreneurs, because we shall be more connected if they know more about agroecology. And also, I'm not going to be more different with my friend about supporting those different organizations which are supporting young farmers and also women, those people who are in agroecology, so that to government to support them as they are supporting us.
Are there any organizations that you're working with, maybe in the communities? There are so many other NGOs that are in the areas of food security, issues of promoting agriculture. Haven't you been able to make networks, maybe working together with cooperatives? Are there cooperatives, groups of farmers? Are there any other areas where you can get synergies, support, to be able to do your work effectively?
Yes, I know, like free. I can mention some, because there is Peram Uganda. They are more in supporting women and farmers in agroecology, and also they are trying to expand about those of agroecology, because they are dealing in agroecology. They give trainings. There is some workshop, those tours. So, and also there is another institution called Django International, where they train young entrepreneurs to come with something or about agroecology. And also there in Mitiana, we have Team Up Uganda.
All right. Yeah. We have comments coming in from the listeners. I begin with David. I work with an organization called NSNU, and our focus is promotion of eco-security research and innovations in Uganda. We are interested with working with those stakeholders. We would like to get in touch with them, especially the focal person at agroecology at the Ministry of Agriculture. And can he feel free to provide us his contacts so that we can begin relating together. Now, that is one of the stakeholders out there who wants to provide support. We will see how, maybe if Mr. Sunday is willing, he will provide us the contacts, and we'll be able to forward them to you. And then we have a comment coming in from Andrew, who is speaking about synthetic fertilizers, how they have penetrated the market, because the so-called educations are only having their eyes on commission from the suppliers. He's saying those who are educated are only having their eyes on to get commission from the suppliers. Also, just imagine if government takes irrigation tanks to Mount Moroto, because land is very fertile there but lacks water. Time will come when our crops will be refused because of using certain types of fertilizer, and we end up begging forever. That's a comment from Rico there, who seems to be in support of agroecology. We have another comment coming in from Benon Freddy Twinamasco, who says, how are they helping in preserving the indigenous seeds, for maize and beans, which used to yield sweet maize compared to the hybrid maize that are currently on the market and cannot be readily replanted. That's Benon Freddy Twinamasco there with that comment. Then we have another comment coming in from Amo Martin, who is listening in from Bale. He says, if there is still anyone in this world who supports and promotes the use of pesticides, herbicides, and artificial fertilizers, he or she is supposed to be asked only two questions. First, is the population of bees in the world increasing or decreasing? Two, do we have another very perfect agents for cross-pollination apart from insects like bees. I don't know the connection there. Maybe you'll be able to explain to us why he's more concerned about bees. Then we have another comment here. Food security, physical and economical access to healthy food. Is conventional produced food healthier compared to agroecologically produced food? That's a question. Is it healthier? Thanks for the program. I'm a regenerative agroforestry farmer, and I'm completely against monoculture conventional farming. I believe that through regenerative agroforestry farming, most of the challenges presented by the conventional farming are solved. We believe that once you work with nature, nature will feed us back. That's a comment there from another listener. We have another one from Jimmy who writes in. He's listening in from Kanyanya, who says, the lady has talked about leftovers as one of their raw materials, and I'm wondering, have they thought about the farm produce in the markets around, or even this could be a solution to the garbage problem in town? Well, those are some of the comments that are coming in. Maybe I'll begin very quickly with you. Somebody is asking you, have you thought about the garbage in town? Have you thought about the leftovers that are everywhere here in town? What are you doing about them? Are you willing to pick some of this garbage and leftovers to be able to prepare the fertilizers? Let's begin from there.
Oh, yes. So I'm thinking about that. Actually, Sophie talked about that we are collecting food waste from the markets, hospitals, and also the hotels. So now that we are having a challenge that we are still a startup, but we can't manage to collect all the garbages on the streets. So that's why we are requesting for some support from the government to help us. So if we increase the production capacity, we believe that we shall correct all the garbages to see the streets, all the streets are, when they are clean.
All right, let me come to you, Mugisha. If you have any other issues you want to respond to from the listeners, we have this person here who is asking about whether conventional produced food is healthier compared to agroeconomically produced food. What would you respond to? How would you respond to this person?
Just to add on, before I come to that, just add on a brief on what Susan has said. Our organic fertilizer, we make it from market waste. We get the market waste from Kalere Market and Gayaza Market, and then we convert that into the fertilizer. The problem we are facing there is basically people do not sort the waste. You find boveras, you find stones, you find plastics are mixed with the waste. So you find that we spend most of our time trying to sort that. But it's part of the intervention that we are having to produce the fertilizer and also work on the urban garbage problem. About the food security concern, food that is produced by conventional methods is not healthy as compared to organic food. This is because every time you spray a chemical on a crop, the crop takes the chemical in. Sometimes some of those chemicals cannot be broken down by the crop. So when you're eating the chemicals. It is now worse that even farmers spray food which is going to the market. Have you ever bought tomatoes and you see they have a whitish thing on top? That is a chemical, and it is not washed away by water. So you're eating unhealthy food as long as it's produced by conventional means.
All right, let's get to you, Sunday, for quick response to some of the issues that listeners have put across, and then we'll get back here in studio for the last word from the guests who are seated here.
Thank you so much, moderator. Yes, those are very good concerns of the listeners, and also the kind of support the two colleagues have indicated. Really very relevant. I agree that the certification is a little expensive depending on which level you put. Because one thing I'm appealing to you, our innovators in organic agriculture, in agroecology, let us work together. because some of you are doing very much good work. But as a government, we don't know. We don't know your actual. So even how we can support you, we fail. So reach out to us. We can help you. We've helped very many people in the process of certification. So don't work in silence. We contact you personally, get my email, get my details. If you have a challenge, reach out. I can guide you on what to do. For example, certifying organic is different from certifying with the UNDPS getting a QMAP. It's also different from certifying with mine. We have a department of crop certification and inspection that also certifies. The certificate we give is not the organic. So very many of you are organic practitioners, you run this other side. No. We have accredited certification agencies. In Uganda, I will tell you, Yugosat, where I sit, there is quite a number of them. Some of them are Japanese. Just reach out and look at it. Because at Yugosat, I will give you an example. Certifying a group that want to go beyond the 3 million. But you will find a farmer saying certification is very expensive. If you are a group and you are started and we only require 3 million from you, you are 30 people. Each one of you is contributing very little money. That was expensive. The only issue is information gap. That's what I can say. If you have to certify organic, we can guide you. It's not as expensive as you think. If you come to my certification, yes, I agree, our certification may require more than. But even the certificate does not help you access an organic price that can help your product be on the market. But it will not claim an organic premium. Those are the things you need to know. Currently, we are encouraging particular guaranteed yes. Whereby farmers do their own quality assurance. They certify producers based on active competition and stakeholders, trustness, social network. We want also to help farmers certify at that level. So it is just the information stuff. Lastly, I want also to appeal our consumers. Managing your health is your own responsibility. It is your own responsibility. And your life is all you have. I have not seen a hospital selling spare parts of intestine, spare parts of the kidneys, spare parts of lungs. They are not spare parts. So mind what you use. We are not going to drag you out of market. Some of you who are buying these tomatoes, they with microphone. And you are seeing them and you just buy and eat. Whose responsibility is it? It is you, the consumer. My dear, mind what you eat. These salads you take in hotels. You know when those vegetables were last spread? You just eat salad, you just eat bila mpango. And you see increasing cases of cancers, increases cases of these digestive disorders. Mind what you eat.
All right.
These mangoes paying the food. Why do you take them?
All right. All right.
So, that is what I'm trying to say is
all right.
This one will require concerted effort.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Sande, for your comments there. Very quickly, Mugisha, you'll give us the closing remarks as we come to the end of this show.
I want to thank the listeners who have tuned in and to let them know that they are the biggest stakeholders in this organic movement. If they are awoke and they demand for organic food, in reverse, we produce more organic and the world will be better.
Mm.
Yes.
All right. Your closing remarks as we come to the show, end of the show.
Okay, I want to first thank Mr. Kenneth for hosting us here, and also the people who have managed to comment. I have realized that those people are under agroecology actually, because they are following the program, they like it. So well done, and keep it up with that passion of agroecology. Yeah, thank you very much all.
All right. All right. With that, we come to the end of Spectrum today. Let me thank you very much, dear listeners, for tuning in and contributing to this discussion. Let me also thank dear guests, Mr. Sunday, who was online, Mugisha, and Ms. Nasolo, who are here in studio. Well, I've been your host, Kenneth Lukwago-Anderson. Tomorrow, same time, we'll have another topic on air, but up next, we have the news in English with Ms. Josephine Dagano. Thereafter, she will hand you over to BB Jr., for the Soul Train. Stay tuned, Radio 1 FM 90. The news in English is up next.